Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So it's time for a brand new review series today. Now I'm done reviewing Terminator, and guys, today I'm going to be reviewing another one of my favourite action movie franchises of all time. Well, this is probably the only movie or franchise that I like the most, guys, and to kick off this franchise reviewing, I'm going to be reviewing the first installment of a franchise, and it is none other than one of my favourite action movies of all time, which is ROBOCop, directed by Paul Verhoeven and released in 1987. And this movie, guys, is easily, in my opinion, to this day, my favourite futuristic movie ever. Yeah, I really love this movie, guys. Absolutely brilliant movie in every way, and yeah. So this movie released on July 17th, 1987. It's a movie that holds a very special place in my heart, guys, and yeah, definitely a really good action movie, really awesome, and yeah. So the movie was first conceived by screenplayer Edward Newmeyer when he was making Blade Runner, and he developed the idea further with Michael Miner. Their script was purchased in early 1985 by producer John Davison on behalf of Orion Pictures. Finding a director proved difficult because Paul Verhoeven dismissed the script twice because he didn't understand its satirical content until conceived of it by his wife. Filming took place between August and October 1986, mainly in Dallas, Texas, which is ironic because the movie is set in futuristic Detroit, so yeah. And when the movie was released, it was a financial success. It earned $53.4 million, and it was praised by reviews, and the success of the movie then spawned a franchise which consisted of sequels, children's animated series, live-action TV shows, video games, comic books, toys, clothing, merchandise, and also a reboot. And we even got ROBOCOP appearing in Mortal Kombat 11 as well, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. Now, guys, so let's talk about the pros and cons of the movie. Well, I'm going to be honest and say there isn't really much cons I could really say about the movie, because in my opinion, it's an absolutely brilliant movie, a masterpiece, and in my opinion, the best work by Paul Verhoeven. So, yeah. So, good qualities is, I really adore the cast of the movie, guys. So, for example, I love the legendary Peter Weller as the title character RoboCop / Alex Murphy. His performance as a character is absolutely excellent. He does such a great job of the role. And I can't imagine any actor playing RoboCop better than him, ever. As far as I'm concerned, he will always be RoboCop. And yeah. And RoboCop is probably my second favourite action hero of all time in cinema after Terminator, guys. And he's just absolutely awesome. And yeah. And Weller played him so well, and at first he did such a great job playing Alex Murphy as a normal human policeman, and yeah, was really great. And as RoboCop, he did a great job making the character sound like a robot, sounding very monotone, and yeah. And I love how, as the movie progressed, his voice began to revert back to sounding more and more human, which was a very nice, amazing detail there, because he sounded way less monotone than before. It was, of course, a sign that he was regaining his humanity, which is, in my opinion, a very great story arc of a movie. As well as the other cast, I also love the addition of Nancy Allen as Anne Lewis, who is a loyal police officer who is teamed up with Murphy at the start of the film. And I really love Lewis, guys. She's a great character, probably my favourite female character in this franchise. She's really awesome. And Nancy Allen does a great job playing her. It's a shame that she stepped down from acting, but, still, she was still amazing in the role, in of course, because she's one of the few actors to hold the distinction of appearing in all three movies of the original movies, so yeah. She still did an amazing job. I also love the addition of Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Bodicker, who is an antagonist in the movie, who is a crime lord working with Dick Jones, who we'll get to in a second. And yeah, I gotta say that Kurtwood Smith does an absolutely phenomenal job playing Clarence, and he's not only is he such a very compelling and brutal villain, but he's also very entertaining and has really funny moments, in my opinion. And yeah, it's so entertaining to watch, and the satire of the movie, is executed so perfectly, in my opinion, guys. So yeah, we'll get to a satire in a moment. I also love the addition of course, Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones, who is the senior president of OCP. And he's also another great villain, guys, and yeah, really ruthless, in my opinion, and brutal, in my opinion. Such a great villain. And when it comes to supporting characters who are protagonistic, I love the addition of Dan O'Hurley as the old man, who is the chief executive of the OCP. And he's a very good supporting character, guys, in my opinion, and really good to watch. And I also like the addition of the legendary Miguel Ferrer, may rest in peace, as Bob Morton. So you made both he and Dan O'Hurley rest in peace, because they both unfortunately died, so rest in peace to both of them. Miguel was really amazing as Bob Morton, who is the creator of ROBOCOP, who is responsible for a project, and yeah, and he does a great job playing Morton, and yeah, and this is easily my favourite role of Miguel Ferrer, may rest in peace, and yeah, my favourite voice role is probably going to be Sinestro in the Batman, but live action wise, I'll always pick him as Bob Morton in terms of my favourite role of him in live action, so yeah, rest in peace Bob Morton, and yeah. Plus, I do think he deserved better, in my opinion, because he unfortunately met a very brutal death at the hands of Bodica, and yeah, with Dick Jones also, you know, being responsible for his death as well, in a way. So yeah, because Jones got Bodica to kill him, because Morton wanted to usurp his position at OCP, so yeah, poor Morton, he definitely deserved better. Now, other good qualities of OCP besides the cast is, there's also another cast who do I like, which is Robert Duquie, may rest in peace, as Sergeant Reed. He's also very entertaining to watch as well, guys, and very good sergeant, in my opinion. I also like the addition of Felton Perry as Donald Johnson, who is an OCP employee. He's also very good to watch as well, even though he's in like a small supporting role. Like, the entire cast does very good, and I also like the addition of all the henchmen who work with Bodica, such as Paul McCrane as Emil, Ray Wise as Leon, Jesse D. Goins as Joe, and Calvin Jung as Steve. Yeah, they're all very good supporting henchmen, in my opinion, and they can also be funny in many areas as well, especially Emil, in my opinion. And yeah, what's also great is I also think the action is also sick in this movie. It's so amazing, and like it really does hold up very well to this day, in my opinion. The action, guys, it's just brilliant, and yeah, really fun to watch. Like, I love how on ROBOCOP's first night on duty, there's like an amazing montage of him stopping crimes. Like, for example, he stops a robbery, then he stops a woman being assaulted, and then he saves the mayor and his staff from getting shot in like a siege in a building from a criminal who is like, you know, wanting a life back because, you know, he feels like he's lost everything and he's starting a siege, and yeah. And I love how he solved those crimes in a blunt but amazing way as well. And then, of course, he confronted Emil at the gas station when he was trying to rob it, and yeah, and that, of course, allowed his return to humanity to begin because he was able to say the same character as Murphy said before, which was, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," which is such a very iconic line, in my opinion. So Murphy said it first, you know, where he goes, "Dead or alive, you're coming with me," and then when RoboCop confronts Emil at the gas station, and, you know, he says, "Drop it, dead or alive, you're coming with me," and yeah. And then, of course, that was when Emil realised it's the same person from before and says, you know, "We killed you." And then it causes Murphy to start to regain his memories, and yeah. And there's even more iconic lines in the movie, like in a scene where RoboCop stops the assault from hurting a woman, he says, "Your move, creep," and yeah. And also the line which was, "Come quietly or there'll be trouble," and yeah. And plus, I also as well really love RoboCop's gun, guys, which is the Auto 9 machine pistol. It's really awesome. And yeah. Plus, when it comes to the features it's setting, guys, what I also love is, I love how during the movie it shows, like, adverts on TV for, like, you know, many different companies which are fictional. Like, for example, a futuristic medical centre. And even, like, a futuristic board game of, like, a nuclear war sort of thing. And yeah. Which kind of reminds me a lot of, like, the PC game called DEFCON, but as like a board game called Nukem, and yeah, like, like those adverts are definitely really fun to watch, guys, and yeah. When it comes to villains, guys, I also love the addition of a villain which is a machine called the Ed 209, and the Ed 209 is definitely a very compelling villain, and its entrance, what it takes down that employee called Mr. Kinney, is definitely a really brutal entrance where it guns him down. Like, goodness me. It's pretty disturbing, but, you know, sure, the movie can get disturbing in many areas, guys, but, you know, but to be honest, guys, that fits perfectly in my opinion, because this movie is not for children, because in my country, the movie's rated 18, so, you know, yeah, definitely not for children, and yeah. So, oh yeah, so I personally don't mind that it's so gory, guys, because, you know, that's what it is. RoboCop is not designed for children, and yeah, this movie proves it. And yeah, so... And the Ed 209 is definitely a very compelling villain in my opinion, guys, and yeah. And if I remember correctly, I believe he's voiced by a singer. The Ed 209, I think, is voiced by a singer, which is pretty cool. Voiced by, I think it's, can't remember who it is. Is it, Jimmy something, I think? Jimmy, Chimarios or something like that, yeah. Which is pretty cool. But we got, like, a singer to voice him, which is pretty cool. And he has pretty iconic lines such as, put down the weapon, you have 20 seconds to comply. And yeah, which is pretty cool. And other good qualities I will say as well, guys, is I also as well think the humour is also perfect in this movie as well, guys. Like compared to the sequels, which in my opinion use the humour way too much to the point of it not being as funny as this movie, and also a reboot which didn't have very much humour at all. The humour of this movie flows perfectly in my opinion, guys. Like, it just fits so well because, like I said before, Clarence Boddicker is not only a compelling villain but also very funny, and so are his henchmen as well. And yeah, and the adverts on TV can also be pretty entertaining as well, especially the Newcomb advert, which is, a pretty funny concept, and yeah. And what's actually cool is in one of the adverts, you get an appearance by director John Landis, which is pretty cool. Like, I do like how he appeared in an advert, yeah. I don't remember which one he appeared in, though, but yeah, it's cool that he appeared in one. And yeah. And also, as well, guys, in my opinion, the pacing for me, which is only 103 minutes, also works really well, guys. And yeah, it just fits so well, in my opinion. And I also, as well, adore the music, guys, composed by Basil Polidoris. Like, really great music, in my opinion, guys, especially the iconic Rock Shop theme, which is, really fun to listen to. I love to listen to it. And yeah, like, so many iconic tracks, in my opinion, guys. Very powerful music, and yeah. And I also, as well, think other good qualities as well is, ROBOCop's suit is also very well designed, in my opinion, guys. Very iconic costume, like, I don't imagine ROBOCop looking any better than how he does in this movie in terms of his suit, because this suit is just legendary, guys. It's so iconic, and yeah, absolutely brilliant suit, in my opinion, and yeah. And plus, we also got another iconic quote on the adverts, guys, which is the adverts featuring a fictional comedian called Bixby Shanna, played by S.D. Nemeth, and he's got, a very famous iconic quote, which is, "I'll buy that for $1. And then he laughs, and yeah, that is, like, so funny to see, really. It's really fun to see, really hilarious, and yeah, And also, what's amazing, guys, is that, while the special effects are great, I think they hold up well, especially because this movie actually has less budget than the movie Superman 4: Quest for Peace, which is released in the same year, which I hate, guys. And in my opinion, the effects in Superman 4 are way worse than the effects of this movie. In my opinion, they don't hold up compared to the effects in this movie. So yeah, the effects look so great. Way better than Superman 4's effects, in my opinion. Most definitely. And I also, as well, really adore the ending of the movie, guys, where RoboCop has killed all of the henchmen and Clarence himself, and yeah. And the final battle of the mill is epic, in my opinion, guys, and I think the character who has the most brutal death is probably Emil, because RoboCop causes him to crash into a giant tank of toxic waste, and yeah, I have no clue what was in the waste in particular, but whatever it caused Emil to have really, melted skin, and yeah, and caused it to start falling off his bones, and yeah, and then, of course, after scaring one of the other henchmen, he then, of course, gets run over by Clarence, but due to his skin being melted, it caused him to blow apart into pieces, so, yeah. So that was the end of Emil. Yeah, very brutal way to go out, in my opinion. Then the other henchmen also get taken down as well, and yeah. And Clarence Boddicker's death is also very satisfying to watch because he stabs at RoboCop, and it's pretty heartbreaking to see him getting stabbed, but thankfully RoboCop gets his needle out, which he used, to plug into, like sockets or whatever it's used for technological purposes. Then he stabs Clarence in the neck, and then, yeah, causes him, to bleed out, dying, yeah, from his throat being cut open. And yeah, that is a very satisfying way to go out, so yeah, And as far as I'm concerned, guys, I can't imagine any villain in the franchise being better than Clarence Boddicker, because Clarence is really entertaining, definitely my favourite role of Kurtwood Smith, most definitely. And then Then, of course, ROBOCOP confronts Dick Jones at the OCP building after he takes down the Ed 209, which is positioned outside, and yeah. And one thing I do also like about Dick Jones, guys, is I like how he was very smart to include a tactic to avoid being killed by ROBOCOP being Directive 4. That plot twist, in my opinion, worked so well, guys, because we were, of course, led to believe that he only had 3 directives at first, being, you know, serve public trust, protect the innocent, and uphold the law. We had no idea he'd have a 4th directive, which is to not harm the OCP workers, otherwise he'd shut down, so yeah. But thankfully, we got a pretty amazing ending, guys, to make up for it, because ROBOCOP confronts Dick Jones while he's at a meeting with the OCP members, including the old man and Donald Johnson, and he comes in saying that Jones is wanted for murder. Jones, of course, denies it, and then the old man asks him for evidence, and then ROBOCOP plays a video recording of Dick Jones from earlier saying that he had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake. Now it's time to erase that mistake. There's one bit of a goof with that scene, in my opinion, a bit of an error, because when he recorded a message of Dick Jones confessing to killing Bob Morton, ROBOCOP was lying on the floor and shaking around, guys, getting back up, whereas the recording shown later looks like he filmed Dick Jones while he was sat at a studio. And of course, Dick Jones says a different take on the line as well compared to before, so yeah, but I can have a slide for, guys, but yeah. So that's Dick Jones exposed, guys, and then he gets a gun and threatens the old man's life, saying he wants to get a chopper. And then if anyone tries to kill him, then the old man's going to get shot. ROBOCOP, of course, can't shoot him due to the Directive 4. But then, what's awesome is the old man then says another iconic line, which is, "Dick, you're fired!" And then it's raised a Directive 4, and then ROBOCOP says, "Thank you." And then he shoots Dick Jones down. And then Dick Jones falls out a window, so yeah. That is such a satisfying villain death, in my opinion, guys, and yeah, like, wow. And Dick Jones definitely did come in, because, like I said before, guys, I did feel very bad about Bob Morton, so yeah. Like, wow. It was so satisfying to see ROBOCOP take him down, yeah. Then after Dick Jones has fallen to his death, Donald congratulates ROBOCOP by giving him a thumbs up. And then as ROBOCOP puts away his gun, just like how the fictional TV character that his son is a fan of puts away, which is a nice little attention to detail that he copies his son, putting the gun away, you know, by spinning the gun. The old man then readjusts his time and says, "Nice shooting, son, what's your name?" And then ROBOCOP turns around and says, "Murphy." Then he smiles and then he walks out to continue his police work, and then that's when the movie ends, and we get the iconic theme playing. And yeah. Now, I'm going to be honest, guys, and say that as well, in my opinion, this movie only can work as just one movie because, like, in my opinion, it does not need any sequels, and because even though I don't mind ROBOCOP 2, I think it's an underrated action movie, and I of course also despise ROBOCOP 3, and I'm not much a fan of the remake that much, although it's okay to watch. This movie, in my opinion, is just perfect on its own, because it did not include any sequel baiting whatsoever in the ending. Instead, what happened is, while the pacing is quite fast in the ending because the credits start rolling immediately after Murphy walks out, you know, I think, in my opinion, it beautifully wrapped up the story because he'd taken down Dick Jones, and he'd, of course, killed all the henchmen that had murdered him earlier when he was Alex Murphy. He got his revenge on them, and yeah. And of course, you know, after that, he'd regained his humanity. He was back to being Alex Murphy. He remembered who he was before he got killed and became ROBOCOP. So yeah, he knows who he is. So yeah, this was proof that despite the efforts to turn him into ROBOCOP, the soul of Alex Murphy was still there. He'd not died. He was still there in ROBOCOP. And yeah, and by my opinion, that's the story, because he's back to being ROBOCOP. So yeah, and then of course, then he walks out and continues to do police work. That's just a beautiful ending to a story, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, guys, ROBOCOP only can work as one movie, and it didn't need any sequels, so yeah. ROBOCOP 2 is probably the most decent of the sequels, because it at least just tries to preserve the same amount of gore and violence and the humour as the first movie, but there is some things I didn't really like about it, which we'll get to in review for it, and yeah, I of course hate ROBOCOP 3, so yeah, we'll get to the trash talk of that. And then remake, in my opinion, is okay, but still is nowhere near as legendary as the first movie, and is also, in my opinion, much weaker than the second movie as well. But yeah, still a bit more tolerable than ROBOCOP 3, in my opinion. And of course, there's also like a new movie, which is like a direct sequel to this movie called ROBOCOP Returns coming out, which is in development, guys. And yeah, And apparently it's going to ignore ROBOCOP 2, 3 and the remake, and I think other entries in the series like the shows or whatever, both live action and animated. But guys, because this movie beautifully wraps up the story, I'm very reluctant to watch it. Like, there's a part of me that doesn't want to watch it because in my opinion, this movie is perfect just as one movie with nothing after it, really. I mean, I think the best thing to include ROBOCOP in as like a follow-up is probably Mortal Kombat 11, where he appears as a DLC character, because at least in that, he was still ROBOCOP, where he still remembered he was Alex Murphy. So, yeah, in my opinion, Mortal Kombat 11 can work as a much better sequel to the first film than ROBOCOP 2, yeah. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, guys, ROBOCOP is only the one movie. And yeah, just absolutely a perfect movie on its own, and yeah. And I like to pretend it's just one movie, so yeah. So guys, if you're wondering why I give this movie out of 10, well, just like in my ranking that I did back in 2020 when I ranked all 4 movies, I'm going to give this movie a flat out 10 out of 10. So yeah, it's my favourite futuristic movie of all time, one of my favourite movies of all time in general, and yeah, I really love it. 10 out of 10 from me, and easily the only best of a franchise, so yeah. So guys, this is me reviewing ROBOCOP, released on July 17th, 1997, directed by Paul Verhoeven. So, you know, drill guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave in the comments what you guys think of ROBOCOP 1997, what your thoughts are on it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for more coming in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press join if you use a piece of link in the description, and I'll see you all later.